If you're a small business owner trying to wear all of the hats from marketing to emails to social content to even customer service, and AI just feels like another thing that you should be doing, this video is going to show you exactly how to actually make it work for you. I'm Victoria Boyd, an AI marketing strategist who helps small business owners just like you simplify your marketing using tools like Claude and ChatGPT. Whether you've used AI before or you're just getting started, I'm going to walk you through how to prompt like a pro, even if you have no idea what I'm currently talking about, so it'll actually help you plan, write, and promote your business online. So if you just heard me say all of that and you were like, okay, what is prompting? Prompting is literally just asking AI to do something for you. So think about it in four parts. There's the role, and the role is simply what AI should act like. The task is what you want it to do. The format is how the answer should be structured for you. The context is everything that AI needs to know to give you something useful. And the clearer you are, the better the output. And that is always true with AI. So what can you use AI prompts for? You can use it for things like writing captions, blog posts, or even email newsletters, drafting lead magnets or your opt-in sequences when somebody gives you their email address, what happens after that, planning a launch calendar with themed weeks, deadlines, and content ideas. It can even help you turn a YouTube or a podcast transcript into a blog post. It can also help you clean up or rewrite your messy brain dumps, summarize your client calls, brainstorm fun drink recipes for your coffee shop or fun mocktails for your bar. It can help you audit your own messaging and your own offers, or even generate headlines or new taglines and ways to talk about your offer. It can also help you make sense of analytics or survey data, or even just create a summary of a survey. It can also help you repurpose content into new formats, such as a caption into an email, and so on and so forth. And it can also help you to create simple automations, help you with formulas, and even help you with code snippets on your website. Now, that sounds like a lot, but trust me, it's all in the prompting. When you're prompting, I really like to think about it like a layered approach. So Google teaches this very basic framework for prompting, and that's task, context, references, evaluate, and iterate. This is pretty good as is. However, through my lived experience doing AI stuff and marketing with AI, there's a few different things that I would actually add to this, which we're going to go through together. So number one is task. So task is simply what you want it to do. So for example, draft a 5-slide carousel post about common mistakes when trying to heal acne. And you're going to get okay results. Now, if we layer in a role where you are telling Claude, ChatGPT, the AI to act as something else, it's going to have a lot more information that it can work with. So for example, let's say you are trying to write affiliate swipe copy, or you are trying to get affiliates to promote your shop. You can say, act as an affiliate manager with decades of experience working with, insert your niche here, or insert who you want to work with. Another example is act as an expert in Google Sheets who has years of experience formatting large data sets and making sense of complex formulas in Excel or whatever. By giving it a role that it is acting as, the AI just simply has more direction to go off of. So a common one that I use is act as a social media strategist with decades of go-to-market experience, and then I would go into the task. So if I stick with that last one of act as a social media strategist with decades of experience, you're going to write me a 5-slide carousel post about common mistakes when trying to heal acne. So it is very much like a layered thing, and all of this would go into one message, into that first chat. Next is adding a format. So format is what the response is going to be formatted as. So any large language model needs structure just like we do. Think about if you're training an assistant, or if you're training a team member, or if you're just trying to do something and you're thinking to yourself, okay, what format do I need this to be in? AI needs that too. So you could say format it as a bullet list, format it like a YouTube video with timestamps, give it maybe tell it to create a listicle blog post that it would find on BuzzFeed, short caption with a call to action. You can really tell it exactly what you want it to do and the format that you want it to inherit. Role and format are two things that I personally include in all of my prompts. We are back on what Google recommends. So context is the more context you can provide, the better the output. Plain and simple. Most prompts go wrong here, and you can give it way more than you think you can. So for example, I like to include who your audience is, what your tone is, and what your audience already knows or what they don't know, what you're trying to achieve, such as sales, visibility, clear boundaries, connections, team memo, so on and so forth. For example, it could be I'm creating a lead magnet to help new business owners write their first offer. Or this is for my audience of busy professionals trying to build a personal brand in their spare time. You could also tell it to use a clear tone, no hype, no jargon, definitely no rocket ship emoji. You can also tell it to avoid words like skyrocket, magnetic, and you can even tell it what your audience hates. So you can give it so much context, and that's just going to give you better results. So references. References are so important because AI is great at mirroring, and you get to show it what you want it to mirror. So, for example, you could give it a caption that you wrote as a human that performed really well on social media and tell it to match the style, or tell it to analyze the post and pull what it can that worked. You can also give it your landing page copy and tell it to write an email that leads to a specific offer. This is another really easy thing to do, and it is going to be able to mirror things like the brand voice, the tone, the structure, and even more than that. So next step is evaluate. So after you get that initial response, you have to ask yourself a few questions. Is it accurate? Did it make up factual claims? AI makes up a lot of facts that it's not backed. Does it include made up sources, case studies, or names? Does it sound like you or your brand? Is the tone aligned with your voice? Is it too casual? Maybe it's too formal. Maybe it's too stiff when in reality you're just a little funny and a little silly. Is it clear? Use examples and bring it to life that way. I really like to think that AI is creating my first and second draft, and it's my job to do the final iteration of whatever it is. Does it serve the audience? Would your ideal client get it if they read it as is? If not, you might have some iteration to do, which we're going to get to next. And most people stop at the first draft, but the magic really is in iteration. So when I say iterate, what I mean is AI is like a brainstorming buddy. It's great at the first draft, but your feedback is really going to make it even better and take it to that next level. So here's how to iterate to get exactly what you want without starting from scratch every single time. So the first thing you can do is just refine the prompt. You can go back up to the first thing that you sent it and say, okay, what could I have been more clear on? What could I have given more context about? What could I have given better references for? Another thing you can do is separate the prompt into shorter sections. Maybe ask one question at a time or give it one piece of information at a time. You can also simply ask it to ask you questions back. Say, here is what we're working on. Ask me any questions before you create your first response. And it'll ask you questions. And then when it feels it's got the information that it needs from you, it will then produce that first draft. You can also consider changing the phrasing or getting much more specific. Something else that can really help with iterations and getting a better response is to actually include constraints. So that's things like don't include X, Y, and Z, or only talk about the information that I've presented to you, or write it in under 150 words, or make it longer, make it shorter. You can include a whole bunch of different constraints that can actually really help get you better results. Something else I actually love to do, and I typically do this in my first prompt to it, is I like to ask for 3 distinct outputs with different vibes, and then I'll tell it to explain why it included each one and what the AI thinks works about it. So once you're starting to feel good about the prompts that you're creating and the output that you're getting from AI, you can start to think next level prompt engineering. So that's things like images, code, documents for reference, and to actually complete a task. There's also prompt chaining. Now, prompt chaining is so helpful, especially in marketing, but when you're really using any sort of generative AI tool, a series of interconnected prompts and adding new layers of complexity along the way can really get you some really cool and really bomb results that you're actually really proud of. You can tell ChatGPT about your offer, and you can ask it for 3 different ways to talk about it. After it gives you those 3 different ways, you can choose one and have it write 5 new captions or 5 new emails based on the new angle that it created for you in response number 1. Another thing you can do, or another example of this, is giving AI the product, asking it for 3 different responses, such as summaries, and then have it combine them or give it the feedback and have it come up with a 3rd one for you. So there's also chain of thought, and chain of thought is actually one of my favorites, and I use this all the time. And what it essentially is if you think back to grade school where I had to show my work or I wouldn't get credit for it. And this was especially common in math and science, where I had to write out every step of the algebra problem before I got to whatever the conclusion was, or I wouldn't get credit. And that's very much the same thing here. So the chain of thought is truly just saying, explain the reasoning, give me the step-by-step process. How did you come to this conclusion? And letting ChatGPT or Claude walk you through the steps that it took to get the output And that's a really great way to not only fact check it, but also just to see if it's doing what you want it to in the right order, in the right way. Some common mistakes and limitations with AI, because it does have some limitations, it does make mistakes, and you do have to watch out for them. So, one of the first mistakes that I see people make all the time is never asking for edits. You can give ChatGPT, Claude, AI some really in depth feedback, and it'll give you better results with those edits. You can also provide it more information. So, in your first prompt, you want to give it as much context as you can. That is where a lot of people try to speed through it. And if you give it more context up front, your responses down the line are going to be better. Another one is expecting AI to know everything about your business, which more on that a little bit later. Not being specific enough. Tell it what you want. Tell it how to act. Tell it what to reference. Tell it as much as you possibly can, and not giving it a clear role. So again, that's part of not being specific enough. And then it's important to acknowledge the limitations. So the limitations are things like hallucination. Look it. AI gets things wrong. It hallucinates. It makes up facts. It's not great at that. It's getting much better. It's getting much, much, much better, especially with like deep research now. But you still have to fact check it. You still have to reference it. You still have to go back through and make sure it didn't make up a research study or make sure it didn't make up a number. There's also biases. And because all large language models are based on human generated content, it's going to naturally inherit biases based on the content that it was trained on, and that can include things like race, gender, etc. So you always have to check the output and always make sure that it's factual and accurate before you go ahead and hit post. So prompting is a skill, and it's not just about sounding smart. It's about being clear and specific with your AI. And the more you refine, the more you're going to get really good results instead of just hot garbage. So if you're sitting over here thinking, okay, I get it, but I want to go even deeper on this, I've got you, because I just launched AI Brand Brain, which is my signature tool to help you build your own custom document that gives AI exactly what it needs to think like you, write like you, and support your business behind the scenes. You'll stop rewriting the same stuff over and over and start getting way better outputs way faster because you're going to be giving AI all that context up front. And if this video got your wheels spinning, you've definitely got to check out my last video on 7 AI tools I use daily as a small business owner, where I share the exact tools I use to streamline, organize, and scale my marketing without adding extra hours to my day. Both are going to be linked down below, and I will see you in the next one.